Saul Kirsch here with Double Alpha Academy, and this is the new Double Alpha PrimeVibe. Now in this video, I'm going to go into the details of the product, explain to you how to set it up and use it, and show you the unique features that make this the best primer tube filler on the market. The Double Alpha PrimeVibe is a vibratory bowl solution for filling primer tubes. Now this is not a unique design. Similar products do exist and have been on the market. A vibratory bowl is used in industry for feeding of all kinds of small parts, and it is well suited for feeding primers, although primers do introduce a unique set of challenges. We set out to develop a product that would be able to handle both small and large primers, allow the user to convert quickly from one size to the other, and produce a product that could run on low voltage DC electromagnets, which reduces the cost of the product overall, and a package which is not only efficient, but also relatively inexpensive. This product will hit the market at around $220, including conversions for both primer sizes. Let's take a look at some of the unique features of the Double Alpha PrimeVibe and why we think this product is going to meet your needs. One of the unique features of the PrimeVibe is our new controller unit. Now the controller unit, which we developed specifically for this product, allows the user to control precisely the frequency at which the bowl vibrates. This is important because different primers perform differently. Each one of these knobs allows you to control, the left one allows you to control the frequency. By turning it, you can get a fine tune. If you press in on the knob, you can get a rough tune to adjust the frequency. Press it in again and you're back to fine. We allow a range between 60 and 99 Hertz. We found that that gives enough of a range so that you can cover ultimate performance for all different types of primers. The other knob and display allow you to control the amount of time before the unit automatically shuts off. This is handy as well because you don't need it running longer than you need. Pressing in the button gives you a coarse minute by minute adjustment. The maximum time is 4 minutes, down to a minimum of 30 seconds. Push in on the button for a fine adjustment, and I can quickly set that up to run, say, 2 minutes if that's what I believe that I need to empty the tube. The way our primer filler works, the vibration is much smoother, much less noisy than other products on the market because our bowl weighs much less and the power required in the motor is greatly reduced. So this unit runs a lot quieter than other units on the market. Some of the unique design features in our PrimeVibe relate to the construction of the cover and the bowl itself. We designed the shield to be larger so that even a large box of primers can easily be dumped on the top tray. The tray is angled so the primers will slide down and enter into the middle of the bowl and then spread out to the circumference. The cover itself is connected with a bayonet type connector, so you simply hold the main pole, turn it a few degrees, and the cover can quickly and easily be removed and then set back into place while the unit is running. We recommend, of course, for safety, always having the cover in place. An additional change that we introduced is 4 ejection windows on the ramp. And this again is there to improve the reliability of the system and reduce the chance of an upside down primer making it to the exit hole. The exit hole itself is made differently. The cover can be swiveled out for easy access, and the cover height itself is also adjustable by means of this screw and a compressed O-ring that sits underneath it, giving you the ability to control how high the cover sits above the exit hole, which is useful when adjusting for ultimate performance for different types of primers. The most unique features, perhaps, of the PrimeVibe relate to the exit hole and how the primers are transferred from the vibrating bowl down and into what is in effect a standard primer tube. Our units are supplied with 2 primer tubes, one for small, one for large primers, but you can use your own primer tubes so long as you ensure that the entrance hole is clean and well chamfered and you don't have any deformation on the top. And you do need to have one of our magnetic collars. These collars are what holds the tube in place. They interact with a magnetic ring that sits in the assembly, and so the primer tube itself just clicks into place, perfectly aligned with the lower piece of the exit hole. The exit hole itself is made from aluminum, very precisely machined. The holes are reamed so that we have an extremely accurate assembly, allowing a clean flow of the primers down into the tube. If need be, these parts can be quickly replaced as well. I'd like to show you how to convert your unit from small primers to large primers. This unit here is set up as we ship it, ready to go for small primers, but the entire conversion kit consists only of these elements. All you need are the two aluminum parts of the exit hole, a large transfer spring which feeds the primers down from the bowl to the base, and the large primer tube. When I'm ready to convert from small to large, I'll take my 2mm Allen key, loosen the screw which holds the upper exit hole. I can lift it out using the spring, remove it, and the spring comes out. The base can be detached from it. These are the parts of the small primer assembly. I simply take the large exit hole, seat it into place. Make sure it's well seated all the way down and tighten that screw. The lower exit hole piece fits into its position, and then the spring can be seated first on the bottom, then into the top. Turn it a few times to ensure it's well seated, and you're done. This unit is now set up to feed large primers. Obviously, I'll be wanting to use my large primer tube at this point. Through experience, you can learn which frequency works best for the type of primers that you are using. The unit is designed to remember the frequency that was used last, so when you turn the unit off, next time you come back and use it again, it will maintain the frequency. Our experience is that there are two sweet spots that work best. The one will be around 74 Hertz, and you can play around with a fine tune. And the other sweet spot tends to be up around 88 Hertz. And again, press the button in for fine tuning of the frequency. Your timer you can set for 2 minutes or 3 minutes. One of the advantages of this unit is it runs very quietly. So if it's running in the background while you're loading the previous tube, it's not going to interfere. It's not going to be a nuisance. You could set it all the way up to 4 minutes. By the time you're done, your primer tube will be filled. In order to ensure smooth performance and a clean flowing primer movement down the exit hole and into the tube, it's important that the output assembly be seated correctly in the right position and that the rod, the primer tube itself, be correctly positioned. The assembly of the exit hole includes the aluminum exit hole itself. The spring needs to fit into place into its pocket on the upper end, and on the lower end into the pocket of the lower exit hole piece. Now the primer tube needs to fit up against that lower hole, and there can be no gap between these two parts. It's important to set the height of the collar correctly so that the tube is touching up against the bottom of that lower aluminum piece. The easiest way to do that is with the magnetic collar loose on the primer tube. You can seat the primer tube in until it makes contact with the aluminum part. You can see that I can actually lift the aluminum part with the tube. So while slightly lifting it, I can bring the collar into place, and then I can push down on the aluminum piece, which pushes down on the tube. And now I am confident that the top of the tube is touching the bottom of my aluminum exit hole assembly. In this position, I can tighten the collar, and I am now assured that the magnet is locked in the right position so that when I seat the tube, it's making contact, not lifting, but making contact with the bottom of the aluminum exit hole piece. And now the flow of the primers will be smoothed down and into the tube. Let's give that a go and see how this product works. Now the PrimeVibe is obviously designed to handle 100 primers. You're not supposed to put more than 100 primers in, because if you do, your primer tube will overflow, and when you remove it, primers will fall loose on the table. So you drop 100 primers in, and that's what you run until your tube is full. This tube I'll dump back into the assembly, place the tube back in place, and let's let it run. Now you can see that I can control the movement of the primers by adjusting the frequency on my controller unit. I can rough adjust it, but I can also press in on the button and now get a fine adjustment that will allow me to control how quickly the primers are moving. Your goal is to get a nice smooth movement in the primer. You don't necessarily need the device to be feeding at maximum speed, but you want to avoid the primers bouncing, which can reduce the reliability. I can see that around 73, 73.4, these primers are moving nicely in the bowl, and at this rate I will empty the 100 primers into the tube within around 2 minutes. 2 to 3 minutes would be normal for most types of primers to achieve a result. By adjusting the frequency for the type of primer that you're using, fine-tuning it, and then having the memory maintain that for your next reloading session, the PrimeVibe allows you to get perfect performance for your primers. So now we've switched over the exit hole parts for large primers. We have our large primer tube. Let's set this up and run it. The cover fits into place and locks with a quick turn, and our primer tube can be dumped back into the bowl, and let's let it run. Now you can see that the primers are moving differently, and I can control their movement by adjusting the frequency to get ultimate performance. I don't need to make any other adjustments. Simply by changing the frequency lightly, now the same product is running on large primers, exiting them reliably. This is the Double Alpha PrimeVibe, which will be first on display at SHOT Show in Vegas in January 2024. Be sure to come by, have a look over there. Should be available and shipping starting in March from doublealpha.biz.